All right. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everything sounds good here this AM. Happy, I was going to say Thursday morning, but it's not Thursday morning. That would be quite broken. Um, happy, what did I just click there? Happy Monday. Hope you guys all had yourselves a fantastic weekend. Feeling refreshed, recharged, and ready to go. A little bit of a call it tumultuous Friday there last weekend, or sorry, last week, right? Profitable trading day, but not necessarily the easiest of trading days, right? Kind of looking for a little bit of a bounce back within that context. Generally, easy is a day where you follow your rules, things kind of behave how you expect, you get easy follow through. Friday wasn't quite that, so I'd like to kind of get back to that sort of reality here. That's the primary focus. Besides that, really just working hard on not getting too caught up in this market that's squeezing, right? So not forcing anything, not over trading, not chasing anything stupid, just focusing one trade at a time, one good decision at a time, one quality decision at a time, I think is probably the better way of phrasing it. And then, building it out from there. Few things to also mention right this morning. So the psychology section here of the Discord should be launched, I would imagine, this afternoon. I got everything up in draft, so should be ready to go here pretty soon. So again, please keep an eye out on that once it's appropriate and ready to go. Besides that, just curious to see what the market has in store for us. Curious to see, basically how this big gap up holds up. And if we can get some momentum and some joy, it's going to be an awesome October 27th. And if we just focus on controlling the variables we can control, everything else should also fall into place. So curious to see what markets have in store for us here today. And let's get after it a little bit. From an economic calendar perspective, pretty quiet today. A little bit busier maybe on Wednesday. We got an FOMC day. So fine, everything looks reasonable. But I expected probably another little bit of chaos here this week from a calendar. And big gap up to start. So should open up quite a lot of interesting sessions for us here at all-time highs. So let's get it started here, right? ES 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. There we go. And our pre-market target here is, call it 68.90. So we'll call it 6,900 as our starting point. And then we're going to go up 10 points along the way. And we'll call it 69.50 as our kind of target there. Again, at all-time highs, right? We don't need to bounce things around too much. Okay, and then to the downside here, we're basically looking at a fake out at all-time highs and then to fill the gap, right? So that would be 68.70 down towards 68.40. That's the gap fill, right? And then 68.30. Let's go 68.20. Again, if we get that type of follow through here this morning, that would be amazing. But let's see if that actually is the case. All right, NQ, probably a little bit of a stronger gap up here, a little bit more aggressive at these highs. 25.9 is going to get taken care of by the indicator. So we're going to be looking at a 26,000 as our starting point. Seems kind of crazy. We felt like we were just talking about 25,000 a few days ago. So plenty of space here if we can get it. Again, to the downside here, target is going to be to take advantage of that gap. So that sets us up at 25.7, filling down towards 25.5, and then call it 25.3. So a little bit maybe tighter levels on NQ to the downside, maybe a little bit more upside potential here if it can cooperate. Almost added an extra 2,000 points there. It's early, don't blame me. All right, cool. CL, red candle, decreasing volume, gap down. So kind of the opposite of our indexes. 2 out of 3 to the downside. Without. Still looks like it's potentially trending PA here, right? Still kind of that trend line breakout on massive bullish volume. So for now, right, at least until we get a proven otherwise, it appears as if we are finding support or consolidating inside that Thursday range. Doesn't mean we can't have a bearish bias here, but I still think that the path of least resistance is to the upside. As a starting point here, we're looking at a 62. So we're just adding a little bit on the front end. And then to the downside here, it would be an ORB fake out. And we'll say above the trend line. Then break down towards. And we're looking as our starting point here of 60.50. We'll call it 61. Then 60.50. Cool. All right. Apple, green candle, increasing volume, gap up, 3 for 3. Tesla, red candle, decreasing volume, gap up, 1 for 3. Feels like, early doors, but feels like deja vu to how our prep felt like on Thursday. Microsoft, green candle, increasing volume, monster gap up, 3 for 3. Amazon, green candle, increasing volume, monster gap up, 3 for 3. That might be just based on how much I've been ordering on Amazon here recently. Nvidia, green candle, increasing volume, gap up. So again, 3 for 3. This is on the China news, right? AMD, similar thing, 3 for 3 here to the upside. I love the backdrop of markets giving us trending breakouts in our leading names as indexes are breaking out through all-time highs. That is a very nice story. We're going 2 out of 3 to the upside here without volume on Meta. Netflix, red candle, decreasing volume, gap down. Not an inside bar. Didn't get it that time. And then the old Google Rooney, 260 with increasing volume. Going into earnings on Wednesday, but a 3 for 3. At Wednesday is going to be spicy. And then, yeah, VIX hanging out just under 16 here. So we're back down to kind of like pathetic, slow volatility. We'll see how that impacts markets. Obviously, big concern here today, right, is that the majority of the move has happened just overnight, right, with the size of that gap up. Would expect there to be quite a bit of profit taking here at these opens. So let's see if that ends up kind of playing out or if that momentum sort of comes into play here today. Yeah, curious to see where any of that flow goes. Any questions here this morning, team? Anything that doesn't make sense? Anything you guys want to rant and rave about here this AM? Everyone feeling good? Yeah, we're trading futures here, Kellen. Yeah, mostly NQ, but we do trade futures. Yeah, it's news based, right? So comments about trade deal with China and how there's been progress made on that. Fueled images. Can you go over the MFLX eval again? I'm sorry, what does that mean? Netflix. So Netflix is just a 1-for-3 here to the downside. So post earnings, we've seen kind of a big sell off and no indication of trending price action established there on Friday, as if it's running out of momentum. Hey, good luck, Roberto. You got this, man. Take it slow here today, right? Go be you two guys. First day on the eval. Don't allow those that dopamine rush to trick you into making a bad decision. Keep it small, right? Build up your tolerance to that new pressure, and everything else will work out just fine. All right, I'm gonna go. So Chris, you can trade, right? You just need to set your session settings to also show the electronic trading hours, not just the regular trading hours. You have to have positions closed by 4:15, and then 4:15 Eastern, and then by 5:30 you can open up new positions. So you can trade overnight. All right, guys, we'll be right back. All right. So let's get after it here, right? Markets open up in about 50 seconds. So let's see. All right. So let's have ourselves a day here, team. I'm excited to see what markets have in store. And just no, for lack of a better term here, guys, no bullshit today, right? Focus on the variables we can't control. No stupid mistakes. No breaking any rules. No compromising on the quality of our decisions. Sonia, I totally agree with your statement, right, that you put down. So there's like a Marcus Aurelius quote that you're mentioning, right? Freedom is not a matter of status, but it's a matter of discipline. I love that, right? I totally believe that. The mental model I've used to trick myself a few times over the course of my life is I'm disciplined for 90 minutes a day, or basically when I'm trading, so that I could effectively be undisciplined in every other element of my life. What I mean by that's not like don't brush my teeth or comb my hair or whatever. More that I can then just have the freedom to do whatever I want, right? That for me is a very worthy trade off. That is 100% a good compromise. And I would challenge you all to embrace a variant of that same mindset, because everyone has the ability to follow rules or to trust their system or to improve their technique. Not everyone makes that active decision, and yeah, I would recommend committing to that path. It is a lot better of a journey. All right, we got classic slow trading view here to start the day off, of course. Good times. There it is. Oh, like from a personal level here, if you guys hear me get a little bit bitter this morning, every day I step outside, I look at the mountains and I can see the snow line creeping further and further down. We're getting lower and lower each day, which is super exciting because, winter here is going to be amazing. But there is a very depressing part of me that is still struggling to accept that the summer is over. So if you just hear me have a meltdown at some point, blame the weather. Not a massive opening range, decent volume though to start the day off. We would assume that a lot of that is profit taking. Like we're seeing that more so on ES maybe than NQ, but still very much something for us to be aware of. Nice, Sean. Yeah. Uh, it's always humbling when the weather starts to come in. So far so slow, right? Not the best opens. Like not the world's biggest range, kind of a medium tier. Not a breakout there on the second bar of the day either. So we got a little bit of work to do. Again, biggest, yeah, maybe fear is the right term. I don't know. But just being a little bit aware, right? That huge gap up into a Monday might be a little bit of a slower day, right? Just the move happens overnight or the move has happened overnight. Not a guarantee. I'm not saying that we're not going to get a single trade here today. We might not. But just historically, the bigger the gap up, just the longer it takes kind of for a move to come together. There's less like motivation, I guess, to get like a big breakout day type thing. So let's see if that ends up actually playing out. We can play this in both directions here this morning. So I don't really care about that. That's fine. But we need to see strong, high conviction signals if we're going to judge or trust them. Yeah, generally the bigger the gap up, the more it ends up being a gap and go type scenario. But generally, what you see in those scenarios, like in those circumstances, is a little bit of a breakdown into that gap. Once that breakdown's established, and we get some nice like red to green reversal type scenarios. So we do have an increasing outlier volume breakout here on NQ. This would be a theoretical setup plus confirmation. So we haven't mapped out for now, right? Again, we'd like to see the fake out establish itself here to start the session off. Right, always what we're looking for here until we get a very dramatic and long-term proven otherwise is we want to see one side fail first. Okay, there's our possible fake out getting established, right? So that would push us in 830 stop loss. That's something along those lines, but we're gonna be patient here, right? We've got the pullback technique. So theoretically, we should be looking for a fake out above that 848. Yeah, Hungsik, man, to be honest, if you're going to be relying on someone to write the entry out inside the YouTube chat, you're going to be very behind on the entry and you're no longer going to be taking the same trade that we are. So I would recommend just watching it back, using that as a learning opportunity and getting better prepared so that you're able to join with us tomorrow or the next day that you're available. But you know, the delay from when someone would post it versus when it was entered versus when you would see it could potentially totally change the dynamic of the trade. So I would be very, yes, I would not think about any of those. Okay, again, maybe a little bit of a fake out there, not quite up and over that 848, but that was the right pace of like the fake out type enthusiasm. But gotta be a little bit patient here. Gotta be patient with the trading view loading. My pleasure, man. I have, I mean, my first name's Noble, but my last name is Chaos. So I understand the value of that. Okay, so as long as this candle doesn't go increasing volume, which I don't think it will, we should still have that fake out thesis in play. We'd still be looking for that fake out though above 848, called above 850. So fine, right? Still theoretically in play here. This might be too much information for you guys, but I recently bought like a whiteboard for my office setup, like, you know, those ones you get in schools, and I feel like it has put me into like idea overload mode or like mode. It's been so nice to just like write down stuff on it, come back to it, write down stuff on it, come back to it. Oh, it's the best. Yeah, it's the absolute best. Sean, I've got a an agency that I work with for my ads. Why do you ask? Truth be told, like I just don't have the time or the time that I'd like to be able to do everything myself. Like already, the way I run DTR and all this kind of stuff, it would be. I mean, I'm already doing 60 hours a week. I would just run out of time here. All right, so we're still looking here. We're still looking. This one's at least made a little bit of lower low, so we are looking more for the aggressive entry. This would be confirmation, right? Not quite the fake out here above those highs, but this for sure would be an argument. These are just manually drawn out, Tracy, just to visualize risk reward zones. I would recommend going through the videos in the DTR basics or DTR trading basics inside the Discord and the how to trade with DTR channel. Thanks, Leia. Appreciate that. That'll give you a lot more context, Tracy. This is really just for you guys to visualize what my stop loss would be if we were entering a trade, what my profit target would be, and then if I have an appropriate risk reward ratio to justify taking that risk. So let's see again, kind of a slower start here. One candle up, one candle down, one candle up, one candle down. So we've done a pretty good job here being, I'm going to say mentally resilient. I'm not sure if that's quite the logic here, but just waiting for price action to be smooth, right? None of these setups that we could have taken so far would have done anything besides remain stuck. So a little bit of patience is going to go a long way this morning. And again, maybe we're establishing the fake out. Yeah, that's exactly it. Ticker hawk trading, right? Be patient, be deliberate. Sometimes the best trade you take is the one you don't take, and that's very much the case here so far. So what we're really going to be looking for, right, is obvious indications that one side has failed, so that we effectively have like insurance on our breakout trades, right, or our trend creating trades. If we've seen one side fail, and then we get a really tight entry close to the point where they have failed, we'll end up getting basically entry timing as, or using our entry timing, sorry, as like a buffer, right? It almost like makes it to be a little bit more fake out proof, where by the time a move has happened or has broken out or through the lows, and you'd be, you know, up maybe 1 or 2 R. If that move fails, you still have a chance to be green. If that move sustains, then you have the chance to get a really big amount of follow through. And that would be an extremely positive outcome. So let's see if things want to cooperate a little bit. So far, not really anywhere, but that's the objective here. And that increasing volume doesn't scare me. That doesn't really change anything too much, but just an unconvincing reaction post confirmation here. Maybe it does want to fake out above that 850 target, but we're just going to wait for now. We're still relying on this and this candle. It does feel suspiciously range bound here so far. And again, guys, as much as like I want to place a trade every candle and every opportunity and every moment I can, it's not a profitable way to trade, right? All things considered, that's a fun way to feel alive on a Monday morning. But the Eagles absolutely smacked around the Giants, so I still feel pretty good. So it's more about, being happy with the quality of my decisions, right? Not forcing anything, not rushing anything, not over trading on a day where price action basically gets stuck in both directions or isn't moving. It's super easy to just go on tilt and lose money on everything, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm going to go short this time. And then the short doesn't move. So then you go long and then the long doesn't move. And you just end up chasing no man's land for a 3-point follow through. And you're pulling your hair out, booking flights to Turkey. And you're beyond stressed out. So we're trying to avoid that type of circumstance here this morning. We really want to be proactive, not reactive in managing our psychology when things do get range bound in this context. And I can't really say that clearly went over. Nice work. So, what I would say though, right, old dude, 635, you said you were done for the day. 648, you're placing more trades. If you're done for the day, be done for the day, right? Don't give yourself permission to get back to it when you tell yourself that you're already done. It's a very slippery slope. Let's go, Mike. So, Seth, right? I'm using my red lines on my indicator here to map out my profit targets, right? So my profit targets are going to be independent or unique to each individual time frame. If we are above those red lines, then the levels we map out in our pre-market prep end up being the targets, and then our stop loss ends up being our confirmation candle high or low, depending on if we're bullish or bearish, or our entry candle high and low. So let's say that we were breaking out above 25,950. My target here would be 26,000, right? Stop loss, whatever my candle is, and then it's mapped out there. So we use the pre-market prep to figure out those levels, secondary levels, and then the red lines of the indicator to give us the other ranges. That make sense? Yeah, that's why we do the 15 minutes of prep before the day starts, right? We're figuring out our secondary targets for if the indicator doesn't behave the way that we expect. What a disgusting opening 21 minutes. Just absolutely sideways price action here. Deb, I can't really answer that question for you. That is a personal choice, right? It's up to you on what fighter you want to be. If your objective is to try to get an entry before me or at the same time as me, right? Then you have no choice but to make that own decision, right? On when you click submit inside that blue line. If your objective is to wait for me to say that I'm in and only take trades that I'm in, then you wait until you hear my entry, and then you look for a retest of that price. There isn't an objective best. It's up to you on which fighter you want to be. So we talked about that concept in the past a bunch. You ask a variant of this question each week, effectively. And it's the same answer each time, right? So you got to figure out which pros and cons you're happy to live with, because every technique has its flaws. There's no way that on every single trade that I take, you're always going to get the exact same entry price as me. That reality does not exist. So you need to figure out which version, which pros and cons you're happy with, and live with them. And be accountable to yourself over them, right? Because nothing works 100% of the time. Nothing is going to solve for 100% of your problems. So you got to figure out which problems you're okay with, which pros you're okay with, and go from there. But there is nothing that is perfect. Yeah, this is one candle up, one candle down. Like the 3 min is, yeah, like it's disgusting. Guys, I'm not dealing with any latency comments. Like everyone has 3 options on how to watch the stream, right? 2 of the 3 options are as if we were having a conversation, right? 0 latency, absolutely 0. So maybe it's a you problem, not a me problem, right? So maybe we don't have to bring it up. Maybe we can just try to solve our own internet issues. So guys, I'm a trader here. I'm not your tech support. I don't have the mental capacity to be able to solve everyone's tech issues, nor is it fair to anyone else here. So control the variables you can't control. Keep that shit to yourself. Yeah, again, Seth, there's no like every trade is 10 ticks or 30 ticks or whatever. That doesn't exist. Every setup has its own unique characteristics. In general, I'm not going to take a trade on NQ unless it's under 25 points of risk. And I'm trying to always get tighter than that. Man, this has got to be one of the most boring opens I've seen seen in a very, very long time. Got Langston, guys, like all this information that everyone is asking about stop losses and position sizing and all these sort of things. All the formulas, all the ratios on how to figure out your ideal position sizing is shared with you inside the how or like the trading basics channel or how DTR trades channel, right? All of that information is there. I would never ask any of you guys to make any assumptions on risk numbers or risk tolerances or anything along those lines. So please, guys, use that information. You're going to set yourself up for a lot more success than just hoping you get that question answered. And I have not made, or I don't take any trades or do anything in here in the stream that I haven't made like 10 videos about, right? There is so many different resources that will explain it in a dozen different ways. So please, guys, control the variables I can't control, because if I also don't have the ability when I am looking at trades to remember everybody's risk tolerance or their risk management or to tell you what position sizing you need to do for your account. I don't have the mental capacity to be able to remember that for the 350 traders that are watching and trading with me here on a daily basis. So we got to control those variables ourselves, right? That's how we're going to manage our anxiety. That's how we're going to make ourselves feel better. That's how we're going to actually make a lot more money. So please, guys, right, make it easy for me to help you. I can't be Superman in that context and remember everything. I'm gonna lose my freaking mind trying. So we gotta make it a little bit easier to be helped, please, guys. Nothing we do here is particularly complicated. Control your variables, please. Look, in general, guys, right? The reason why we're not super interested in any fake out entries is just because it feels a little bit as if this signal has degraded and we've seen an attempted effectively failed move, right? So we've seen a failed move here to the downside, right? Faking out under that 940 confirmation low. So we've gotten evidence, right, of bears failing before we have had evidence of bulls failing. So there's no reason for us to be looking for a fake out scenario here because we've seen price action fail. I would not be interested in looking for stairs up or stairs down or anything along those lines, right? Until I know that I have an active setup or an active trigger or an active confirmation. So James, we're skipping steps here. We don't need to be validating that or looking that aggressively out. We look for elevator up, stairs down, right? Within the context of us having a active setup trigger. Everything in the meantime is just noise. So we don't need to overthink it. That is not an active setup trigger there on the 2min. Did not break out above the previous high a day or hold that previous high a day. So you pass on that burden of confirmation to a longer time frame. If we can get increasing outlier volume, then we have a chance to play that breakout here right up towards that 950 target. And then at that point, right, once the trade has been boxed in and we've established the fake out, then we start looking for the correct reaction as we pull into our entry zone. Don't create extra problems for yourselves, guys, right? Don't be looking for something that isn't there. We're basically just waiting for us to have an opportunity to be focused. And that's really all it is for now. All right, no active setup trigger because it didn't close outside of the opening range. So again, we'll pass on that burden here to potentially another time frame. Maybe the 2min, right? If we can get a break and close on increasing volume, or the next 5min candle, right? If it can close above the upside of its opening range. So we should get one of those to give us a volume standard. Now we're just looking to see if we can get the right close of price action to validate, right, our patience effectively. All right, so looking like we might have an opportunity here on this 5min time frame here. All right, so reasonable candle close. Now we want to see some sort of indication of bears failing, right? Some sort of sign that bears are not going to step back and take in control. Everything we have seen here so far today has been consolidation, right? Or indecision or non-trending price action. So the base assumption here, right, is that that is the case until we get some sort of proven otherwise. The proven otherwise that we're looking for, right, is for bears to fail to reclaim control after our confirmation standard got set. If they can, or if they do, then we should have ourselves a pretty clear path higher and forward. But let's see if that ends up being the case, right? So right now, all we've got is a reasonable expectation, right, for our bias to now be tilted higher. And we're waiting to see if we can get some sort of evidence of bears failing in their attempt to reclaim or recapture some of this move. So now it's a patience game, right? Now it's a patience game. Kind of a weird like it's getting to like 66, 67, and then it's like it's hitting a bit of a wall. So I don't think that the low is in yet here on this candle. I would think that we probably still can push a little bit lower under that 61. We'll see if that ends up being the case here, but that's my my sneaky suspicion. Again, if I'm trying to be objective here, so far, a little bit better from bulls there the last second or so. But so far, kind of a lack of enthusiasm, right? Quote unquote, post bullish confirmation. So, like, if I'm closing my eyes and I'm asking myself, what would strong bulls look like if my idea is correct? This candle probably isn't matching the depths of my imagination. Right, it's been a little bit yeah, Roy, I mean, to be honest, I'm trying to do my very best to explain my thought process here. So this, can you at least explain what you're doing and thinking, is exactly what I am doing. So I don't really know how else to beef up that information when I'm literally going thought by thought exactly what I'm seeing. So it's like, come on, man, you're complaining about what I'm already doing. So again, if you're lacking context, go through the resources in the Discord, as they are designed to help you win. Like this idea, guys, you can just show up and know everything that's going on and be instantly profitable is a bullshit lie you are telling yourself, right? That is not the reality. You can't just show up and magically become a millionaire. It's not going to happen that way. Well, we're still waiting for a fake out, so no entry technique in play yet, right? But yeah, like I was saying, main thing that's flagging as a bit weird, right, is if this trade is telling, or this candle's telling me, right, this 10 a.m. candle is telling me that bulls are strong, that we have a breakout scenario, and the next candle isn't breaking out, right, or isn't moving aggressively in my direction, that's an indication, right, that maybe bulls aren't as strong as we thought, right, or as strong as we wanted. So we're trying to constantly ask the question, right? If bulls are strong, what would they look like? If bears are strong, what would they look like? If bulls are weak, what would they look like? If bears are weak, what would they look like? There's that low under that 961. So potentially our first opportunity here, right at that bearish failure. At this point, right, this would now transition into an aggressive entry technique. But we need to see a little bit of a better reaction, a little bit bouncy here. And so now we're looking to see where an appropriate stop loss can get established. So far, it's been elevator up, elevator down. So not quite what I'm looking for here yet. And again, base expectation here, right? Based on the size of the gap up and what the opening, we'll call it 30 minutes, looked like, is a day of indecision slash consolidation, right? That is all we have seen from markets here today. So for us to front run and be more aggressive than that, we need to see a very clear indication that we have trending price action. That does not exist yet. So we be patient, right? We're not looking for a break below. We're not looking for anything but a bearish failure. What does a bearish failure look like at this point? That's it. That's our only question we're asking ourselves. So far, right, everything here is continuing to say consolidation. Nothing here is indicating that we've got a change in personality. So, gotta slow down here. We gotta be deliberate. But no easy trade here yet. And Ghost, you're overthinking the fake out technique, right? When we're using the fake out entry technique, our stop loss is always at the low of our entry candle, right? So once we see the fake out, our stop loss is always low of entry. Just waiting, guys. We are just waiting. If there's nothing to talk about or price action isn't behaving how I want, there's nothing for me to say, right? So we got to be patient. Market's not always going to give me something to talk about, but we're waiting. And again, guys, right? Every or good part of big part of trading is waiting, right? You get paid for your decisions, not your time. So we can't just like think, oh, I've been watching the market for 46 minutes here today. I'm owed 3 trades. That's not the reality, right? You're going to lose a lot more that way. Instead, it really is, okay, I trade when I have an edge. I don't trade when I don't have an edge. And if I don't have an edge or I don't have things that are behaving the way that I want, I shouldn't try to talk myself into something that isn't there, right? So for me, my strategy is a binary. Either things have happened or they haven't. When they haven't, I don't have much to talk about. Just the reality, right? Last week I had, I don't know, maybe 25 trades. So if I miss a day or I have a day where I don't get any action, not a big deal. That happens. That's the life of a trader. That's just something that happens, right? If I need to force action every day to feel alive, then I can guarantee you that your P&L is going to be a lot worse than mine at the end of the year. So we optimize for the quality of decisions. We don't optimize for the justifying our time. We have to get comfortable with that idea as traders. Kind of looks like an equal move higher, equal move lower, right? Potential little rejection there at 875-ish. I mean, that could potentially be in play. Again, my problem though is it's really hard for me to want to trust one of these signals, right? Or one of these confirmations as being a fake out higher or a fake out lower when everything has been a fake out higher or a fake out lower, right? So within the context of that consolidation, I'm not sure if that's a signal that I'm willing to trust yet. Is just look at price action, right? We have not particularly separated away from that 3-min close. Opening candles, 3-min close. And so for now, I don't have any signals. Now, too early, Seth, to say that it's a no trade day. What we do know, right, is that the larger the gap up or the larger the move in the pre-market session, the later or the longer it takes, right, for price action to basically establish itself. So the bigger the gap up, the longer that window extends. When the move has happened overnight, it almost is as if markets need time to digest, to figure out that narrative, and price action sets up a little bit later on in the session, more of like a, we'll say, 10:30 to 11:30 window versus a 9:30 to 10:30 window. When you get a minimal gap up and you get a small reaction, right, then you have the environment to get an aggressive move off of the open, and that opening hour of the day ends up being more aggressive. So no, I don't think it's related to the pending Fed decision. Price action moves in the path of least resistance, and news comes out to support that path of least resistance. So the slow, choppy, muted behavior we have had so far is related to the implied volatility and the size of the gap up. So if we look at the VIX implied volatility, or the volatility index, is, we'll call it 15.91. So a rough calculation to determine the implied volatility is to take that number and divide it by 16. That gives you an implied range for the day. If we then look at yesterday's or Friday's close, right, and then today's open, that's approximately a 1% move already, which is the implied volatility, right, that the VIX has given us. So we've already had the implied move that the market is telling us is in store. And so that's why things are slow. Right? That move has already happened. The volatility that is expected here today has already occurred. Right? That move has happened overnight. And so we are patient until we see some sort of reason to think that it isn't a day of consolidation at this point. Tracy, with your question on a gap in one direction or another, should we expect price to typically retrace to fill the gap again, like a fair value gap? I'm guessing that is what that stands for. Impossible question to answer based on my strategy. I don't care if it wants to fill or not. That's not really the point. If it does, sweet, I'll have a way to trade it to the downside. If it doesn't, sweet, I'll have a way to trade it to the upside. But I have no data on how often it's going to do a gap fill. That's not the strategy that I trade. That would be just a secondary byproduct of my technique. So I'm not specifically looking for any of those variables. Today's gap, or the way, or the context that I'm describing it, is based on the implied volatility of the VIX and that calculation I mentioned 2 minutes ago. So base expectation, right, is that that won't fill until you get some sort of proven otherwise. But also based on that implied volatility, right, your path of least resistance then is more likely to be lower than it is higher, right? Because if your implied volatility is 1% or a 1% range in the market, and you're up at the upper end of that 1%, then your path of least resistance is lower, because you're more likely to reject at that upper 1% range and then sell off towards the open or the midpoint or 2/3 of the way down. And then that would coincide with a potential gap fill or whatever. So too much galaxy brain here so far today, guys. Keep it simple. So still just hanging out here, right? Price action's not really moved higher. It's not really moved lower. We're literally in the middle of today's opening range. We are seeing a low probability for quote unquote momentum conditions, right? That's okay. It's a part of the game. Not every day is going to be a momentum day. So sometimes you got to just sit on hands. Maybe that's the case here. Kind of a mixed bag story in our leading names. We got a couple names selling off, a couple names pumping. So we have a very mixed narrative, right, amongst them, which indicates further consolidation. I appreciate that, Hank. I am a big believer that trading discipline is kind of like a doubting Thomas type thing, where you don't believe it until you see it yourself, or you don't know what it looks like until you see it yourself. I think a lot of people have a very unfair perception of what, being a disciplined trader looks like. Sometimes being a disciplined trader means not taking crappy setups. Sometimes it means taking setups, right? Sometimes it means how do you react when you have a win? How do you react when you have a loss? It's not just, oh, be patient or don't lose money or do whatever. It's a much more complicated topic than that. And I think that's one thing that is really poorly shown by most traders on social media or through platforms that you'll see, because they're not incentivized for most people to make money. They get incentivized by you buying more prop firm accounts or whatever it is. And so they're rewarded by you failing, which is quite the conflict of interest, I would say. Yeah, Jared Tendler or Tedler, whatever his name is. It's a great book, Sean. Discipline in trading, effectively, in my opinion, is remaining in control, right? Did I behave how I said I was going to behave? Did I behave within the confines of all my trading rules? And that means either taking trades, right, that match all your rules, or skipping trades that don't match your rules. Okay, still not interesting here yet. It's close, but for us to have an active setup trigger, we need to break out above that 875 area on increasing outlier volume. Until that happens, right, it's only just consolidation. I mean, literally, Tracy, that's the only way they make their money, right? They make their money because you lost yours. And that is really pathetic. Oh, Mental Game of Trading is Tendler's book. Why do I think you wrote Disciplined Trader too? Oh, it's Mark Douglas. Oops. Well, look, even if you follow my trades, Tracy, it's you are the person who is clicking submit, right? So I'm not at fault when you make money. I'm not at fault when you lose money. I'm here to show you my process, my technique, what I do, and as much transparency as I can provide. But I don't have a gun to your head telling you have to make a decision here. Every trade or every outcome is ultimately your choice. You have free will. Don't pass that on to me because that isn't fair either. I know. I just want to be very clear. Like I said, breakout needs to be above high a day, so above that 875. Right, we're waiting until it breaks out above high a day. Otherwise, right, it's just high volume into an area where we've seen bulls fail before. So how is that different than just seeing consolidation, right? We need to see a formal personality change or a formal breakout, however you want to describe it, prior to us being aggressive. So this might hold, but it's unlikely that this is going to give us the volume profile we need here on the 2 min. So we're more likely to probably trade this on the 3 or the 5 or one of the longer time frames, excuse me, than one of the short ones. Oh, still think it's a very low probability that I'm going to get a trade here today. Okay. It's decreasing volume and it closed under the previous high. So we pass on that burden of confirmation. Next candle that closes here is the 5 min. But again, maybe a little bit unlikely for us to get increasing outlier volume and to satisfy our confirmation requirements. The 3 min, probably our most likely candle to give us confirmation. We're about halfway up, about half the candle to go. So this one will be close. Okay, again, 5 min decreasing volume did not hold above that 875 target. So we're going to switch to the 3 minute to go. It's got to get above this red candle and it's got to get above that white line. If it doesn't do that, then I have a binary failure and no reason to be interested in this setup. So again, seems unlikely that I'm going to get increasing outlier volume. So still no indication that bulls have changed the personality here of this ticker. At least not yet. So we still need more info prior to us being aggressive. closed above the right number, but not with enough participants. So my confirmation standard is a break, close, and hold above my level or above my target on increasing outlier volume. So the binary failure is that the volume is neither increasing or outlier. So it failed on a confirmation standard. I have a setup, but no confirmation of that setup. So we're looking now, right, for a high volume separation away from that 875. Again, guys, all these things are explained in a lot of detail inside the Discord. Please review those documents or videos. So this candle should be increasing volume. We now need it to close above that white line in the next 30 seconds while giving us a candle that looks like 1, 2, or 3. All right. So we've got a good volume profile, but now a bad candle shape, right? That looks more like a least bullish candle than a most bullish candle. So we again pass on the burden of confirmation to a longer time frame and see if things can set up and behave. None of this so far, though, is surprising, right? We're expecting chop, or everything we've seen here so far today is indecision or like slow price action or consolidation. And we've not seen anything that's a quote unquote proven otherwise. So totally reasonable to sit on hands, right? We're in our second most profitable position at the moment. I don't know what MGC is, Kellen. No, I don't. Again, not a good enough candle, increasing but not outlier volume. So again, we pass on that burden of confirmation. The 5-min should close in 50 seconds and just repeating that same cycle, right? Can I get a break and hold over previous high a day on increasing outlier volume? And it's okay if things move higher or lower. That's fine. It's always going to do that, right? But we only have an expectation of being profitable if the market moves while following our rules. That's the only way you're going to make money long term. Getting the dopamine rush of a win today would feel great. But if it's a win that's made by breaking your rules or cheating yourself of your process or skipping steps, then you are not putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be profitable long term. And that's fine. Some people want the lottery ticket more than they actually want the lottery ticket win. And I won't be able to convince you otherwise if that's what you want. But me personally, like I've been trading for 13 years. I'm hopeful that I trade for another 60. So the only way that I can actually pull that off is I eat healthy and take care of my health, but then also, right, that I control the variables I can't control. I ignore trades that don't follow my rules, and I stack up good decisions. The most dangerous trade in the world is one where you broke your rules and you made money because you get this dopamine feedback loop, right? Where breaking your rules actually is profitable. and it might make you money on one trade or two trades or even three, but then on that fourth one, you're going to lose everything. And we want to avoid those big blow up consequence events, because that's how you stack up money and actually remain profitable. So maybe on this 2-man, we can get to outlier volume here again. The price is stalling for sure. And yeah, the only ticker hawk trading, what you're saying is spot on, right? The only holy grail in trading is, do I behave how I said I was going to behave when it's not easy to control my behaviors, right? Because every strategy can win, every strategy can make you money. Every strategy has times where it works and times where it fails. So we have to make sure that we don't have a higher failure rate than our technique effectively. And we need to look internally to solve our own problems. I'm a big believer that you can't out earn bad risk management or bad trading psychology. You can try, but you'll never keep that money long term. Yeah, that's 100%. Like you need, there's a math around profitable trading, right? Where you need to create that margin of error for yourself, and or a lack of discipline or a lack of trust in the system or a talking yourself into breaking your execution rules destroys your ability to basically maintain those positive ratios. And that's a really big limiting belief that a lot of traders need to get over. Too many have the perception, I guess, that their losses are going to turn into wins and that their wins are going to turn into losses. And you got to learn how to control those variables. And still nothing of interest here. CL's been temperamental, but not particularly tradable. Yeah, I mean, my next outcome ticker hawk is always a 50-50, right? It's either going to be a win or it's going to be a loss. I'm not judging myself on my P&L on the next outcome, because that's a losing game here too. I'm judging myself on, did I follow my rules? Did I execute my plan? Because my only guaranteed outcome is after 100 trades, 1,000 trades, right? 10,000 trades. If I stick to my rules over that sample size, I will be green. I need to get off of that daily P&L roller coaster, because I will judge myself off of the wrong things and trick myself into breaking rules or skipping steps in pursuit of P&L validation. And that's not a winning process. Yeah, we're at what, 8:45 or 10:45 here this morning. So far, nothing. Again, no big deal, right? If the market does give me a look here today, life will go on. My dog will still love me. It'll still be snowing outside. The coffee will still taste good. Sauna will still be warm, right? Nothing is going to change. So it's all about being very deliberate, not skipping steps, and obsessing over the quality of your decisions, not the quality of your P&L. Your P&L is a lagging indicator based on how well you remained in control. I mean, usually not, Michael. I had uh pretty big mistake with my coffee on Saturday. So who knows, Chan? It might not. But again, I'm gonna if it does sell off, then I have a plan on what I will do if it does. But I don't apply what I think is gonna happen to the market. I just trade the market in front of me. So I'm not trading what I think is gonna happen. I'm trading my plan. That's it. All right. Sometimes my plan works, sometimes it doesn't. But if I follow my plan, then I'm going to be very happy with my results. If I don't follow my plan, I'm going to feel as if the game is rigged against me. So honestly, I don't care if it goes higher or lower. I've got a plan in either direction. Now it's just about seeing things behave in that context. I buy local beans from a local coffee roaster in town. Nice to support small business. But no, the mistake I made is I had like I bought some coffee like just like because I was out, the kind of crappy beans, and I hadn't touched them for like 6 months. So I had local coffee, maybe not 6 months, maybe 4 months, and then I put it in my pour over, and I was just like so disgusted by the quality of it that I was not a happy man on Saturday morning. So again, we maybe have a good volume. I mean, we're probably not going to get increasing outlier volume here. A little bit closer, but still no particular interest until those variables are absolutely perfect. We're struggling with those a little bit. Again, we maybe have a chance here to go increasing outlier on the 3. 2 is not bad, but it didn't hold under that candle low. So not a strong enough candle shape. So we're going to pass on that burden to the 3-min. Mm-hmm. So 20 odd seconds to go. This should go outlier. So it's just a question of, do we get a strong enough candle close? Ten seconds. Me big one. Let's see. Ooh, right on the cusp. All right, if I zoom in, I can see its little turtle head popping out. So fine. We have an active setup trigger here. Now we're looking for some sort of bullish failure, right? If we've seen price action drifting here all day, we still want to see some sort of personality change, right? To indicate that we have an easy trade in front of us. None of the action here so far has been particularly easy. So we want to see that failure occur, right? For now, that would be a fake out above our, say, 869. And we want that fake out to basically behave as if it's like a trampoline, right? So if we go above that 869 price, it should catapult back lower pretty quick. All right, there's the possible fake out. Now we need to see it reject with enthusiasm, right? So I can start to set up my order window at this point. But I'm not quite ready to click submit. Stop loss would be 875. And reference price would be low of my confirmation, right? So 865. So looking at about 10 points of risk. So it'd be a 2 contract play. Now you could go the deeper pullback you get, right? The bigger sizing you could go theoretically. So now we're looking for a gentle pullback, right? Effectively taking the stairs into that zone. I don't have to chase this. Be patient. Okay, so watching carefully here. Okay, watching. Moving a little bit too fast inside that zone so far. Okay, much better. There's that the fake out. Now we'd look like something like this. So stop loss would be 878. All right, guys, I am in 874.50. Stop loss at 878. 874.50 short. And I have 4 contracts on this. Okay, good early reaction here so far. Would like to see it start to flush, though. It's bouncing a little bit too much around that 870. I think, Kiki, you mentioned that level earlier about how it's been stuck there. It does feel like it's still kind of stuck there a little bit. But a good entry, all things considered. Now I just want to see it flush and not pull back to my entry price. Come on, flush, flush, flush. Please listen, Kellen. I've literally walked you through as much as I possibly could have on that trade. Please pay attention. All right, see if this thing can keep flushing here. I've still not been super enthused about this reaction. It's a little bit better, but it's a little bit slower than I would have wanted. Nice work, Jason. All right, see if this thing can keep flushing here. Nice work, young dude. Let's go. Okay, there's 1400. So that's a 3R move. I will not let this trade go red at this point, guys, right? Will not let this trade go red. Let's even get a flush and break down through 850. Good candle. So let's see if we can give one more decent flush here. Again, we're looking to crack through that 850 resistance. Don't like that pullback too much. A little bit too bouncy. That's kind of a worst case scenario pullback. Lame. All right, see if we can flush. Nope. All right, guys, got to get out of this position. Got to get out of this position. Make sure you're locking in a win here. So focus on closing right on the downtick. It's a mean pullback. Come on, flush through. Come on. It's so disappointing. All right, guys, I am out of this trade. Exit price 973. A little bit annoying, right? We tried to give it as much space as we possibly could for it to give us that breakdown. It did not want to. That's fine, right? That's the choppy market. We deal with that as best as we can. We did not let it go red. We controlled the variables we could control. And we had a good exit plan. Frustrating, but a win's a win. Oh, $250 on that. Woo! Guys, the way that we're paying attention in here today is pathetic. What did I trade? NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures, NQ1. Like, you can see it on my fucking screen. What's going on here? Like, I'm on the fucking chart, guys. Come on. Jesus Christ. Like, you think I'm just talking about some trade that I'm not seeing you guys all watch? Come on. For fuck's sake, guys. It's not complicated. No, I'm not answering that question, Kellen. You can look it up in the how to trade with DTR section. Why does everyone else know what's going on here? I don't understand, guys. I really don't understand. I called it out so cleanly, so clearly. What else am I supposed to do? Crazy. That's a you problem, Kellen, not a me problem. Nice work, Roberto. Congratulations. Let's go, Bart. Well done for catching that trade. Well done, team. Again, nothing there should have been confusing. It's very clear what we were doing, where we were looking for entries, where we were looking for a stop loss, the position sizing. All was told before we entered the trade. So pay attention, guys, right? Little details are very important. There is nothing that can save you before you enter, right? Sorry, after you enter. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. But if you guys need me to wipe your ass, tell you what to do, and say everything is going to be okay, you are in the wrong spot. So my notes from that trade, right? NQ short from 874.50 to 871.75. Gave it as much time to breathe as I could. Price pushed to 3R, then couldn't flush past 850. Elevator up after testing around 850 or 850 flirt, and then instantly pulled back into the 70s range. Got greedy on this position or let too much P&L get given back, considering I was up 3R and then yeah, didn't finish with a 3R win, didn't finish with a 2R win, probably what I should have done. So to finish, at half an R when I was up 3R is a little bit of a disappointment considering how choppy the day has been or how bouncy the day has been. Again, kind of a fine balance there between following your rules and giving it space versus just taking whatever P&L is there. But is what it is. Yeah, I mean, we got like 20 points and then it stalled. And it's like, okay, fine. You gotta sometimes give it as much room to breathe as you can. But in this circumstance, I think I probably gave it a little bit too much room. A 1-for-1, I can't complain about that too much, but should have been a bigger win. And again, guys, nothing I'm doing here is opaque. I'm not going to show you NQ on my screen, then trade Amazon on the side. Right? Like, stop with those inferences. It is fucking bullshit. So I told you exactly what I'm doing. I mapped out my trade, exactly how I was going to trade it. I showed you guys all the stop loss. I showed you all the entry zone. If that isn't enough information, nothing will be, right? So we got to focus on the variables we can control because things do come together quickly. Things happen fast. But I am not hiding or refusing to show you guys anything. That trade was very clear. So we got to sharpen up those details, team. Should not have been any confusion over what I was trading. Crazy. Hey, Rusty, if you get that LSU money, good luck, buddy. I hope I never see you trading again. So, guys, just as a refresher here, right? I don't want to have to do this every time, but when I map out a trade, right? When I show you guys what I'm doing, red line will be my stop loss, white line will be my profit target, and when I draw my blue line, I am looking for an entry above or better than that blue line price. Your job, once you see this on my screen, is to set it up yourself, put in your variables, make sure your position sizing is fine, and then look for an entry inside that blue zone to red zone. That is all I am doing. I am setting up my execution window based on these parameters, and I'm creating that visual so that everyone can see what I am doing. If you are skipping those steps, no one can save you. I am telling you what I am going to be doing before it ever happens. 90 seconds, 2 minutes, sometimes longer than that. And so I cannot provide a more transparent process than that. Everyone else tells you what they've done after they have done it. I am telling you what I am doing before it ever happens. So if you don't know what I am doing, that is not my fault or not my problem. Prepare yourself better. It is exceptionally clear. It is ridiculous that I have to answer questions over what I am trading when there are 15 different ways you can figure that out just by looking at my screen. Honestly, it's a waste of my time to address those comments. So control your variables better, guys. Ridiculous. %, Mike. 100%. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. And nothing I'm doing here, guys, is particularly complicated, but you need to focus. Trading is very intense. It is extremely competitive. It requires a level of intensity that maybe will make you uncomfortable. But this isn't about your feelings. It's not about how good do I make you feel. I don't care about any of those things. I am here to make money, not here to protect your feelings. That is your job. And if you're going to skip steps and we're going to avoid procedures and we're not going to do the preparation we need to be successful, then the market is going to absolutely destroy you and take everything you have. Everyone who you are trading against is smarter than you, better prepared than you, and has more capital than you. So if you think that you can beat those traders or those people by just showing up and clicking buy or sell, you are lying to yourself and you are wasting your time and energy. %, Jason. That is why I map out my trades the way that I do, because the only way that you can copy me effectively is if you either wait for me to say that my price and then you buy a retest at that exact same price. So when it touches that again, or you look to have the same set of behaviors when I am looking to click submit, right? Which is why I map out my zones so that you can refine your focus. If you are going to skip either of those steps and still hope you are going to get bailed out, honestly, you have no idea what it takes to become a profitable trader. So I don't mean to be an asshole here. That's just a byproduct. But I hope that people realize that this is not a game where you can just wing it and make money. You have to be deliberate. You have to be specific. and how we set up our trades, how we call them out, is designed so you have every bit of information you need before you enter a decision so that you are not chasing. That is the whole objective of why we set things up the way that we do. If you don't like that, I'm sorry, tough shit. But I'm trying to set it up so that everyone can be as successful as they want. I can't solve that want, though. That is up to you. Is that fair? Everyone understands the base expectations here. Sorry, Kellen, but that's not an excuse. Because I clearly said we're looking for an entry above the blue line. Say that on every single trade. So not an excuse. So I'm not going to place any further trades here today. I'm going to take my $250 and run. The market is not moving how I expect, and I'm not interested in wasting any capital on something that is sticky. I'm green. I'm going to take the green and go. So any questions here, team? Love it, Hank. Well done, man. Congratulations. You too, Jason. Enjoy the walk. That sounds like a fantastic idea. Let's go, Tyler. Enjoy. Let's go, Forever's Edge. Beautiful, guys, right? Yeah, not a complicated process, right? We control the variables we can't control, and things work out just fine. We skip steps, and we hope that we get bailed out, and we always get punished, and we get in this feedback loop of thinking that the game is rigged against us. That is not the reality, right? The game is as rigged as we choose to make it. So there's no tolerance for sloppy execution or skipped steps or broken procedures because none of those things make you money. And so I will always complain about the quality of processes because improving your processes is how you improve your P&L. Your P&L gets better by you getting better at following your rules, controlling your variables, and building confidence in executing your trades. There is no magic pill or magic words or holy grail strategy that's going to solve all of those problems. You have to solve them yourself. So I personally don't like to move my stop loss up and protecting my trades. If I feel like I need to do that, I should just take the P&L where it is. Right? Why, if I'm up $1,000, I'm going to set my stop loss to protect a $500 win. Why not just take the $1,000? Well done today, team. Love to see all the positive numbers with DTR members. That's really nice to see. I think that should be, what was that, 20 odd days in a row? Nice work, Brooke. Love that, Chris. Congratulations. And just shows, right, what a difference it makes when you come prepared. I'll love to hear that. Appreciate that feedback. Oh, Tracy, like I'm here to make money, right? And to be serious about that. This is how I make a living. This is how you guys want to make a living too. We're not going to get there if we have to worry about our feelings getting hurt. I am never attacking you, the individual. I am attacking you, the trader, because that's what people are saying that they need help with. And in that context or in this situation, there is no room for extra emotions. We're just trying to get better. And there's a certain intensity that is required to accomplish that. And I'm not interested in babying people because they can't handle that. If I can hurt your feelings, which I shouldn't be able to, then you probably aren't going to make it in the market anyway because something else is going to make you snap. So I want you guys all to be successful. I want you guys to all win. That is my primary objective and focus. I don't care if you like me or not. Number of accounts and total P&L across accounts. Okay, any other questions here, team? Yeah, I copy trade across some prop accounts. Yeah, and following your rules is a very profitable technique, right? That's the only way you win long term. And although it wasn't a monster day, probably should have been a lot better than it was. Green is green, and I can take that and enjoy my morning-ish. The thing that I'm annoyed about, right, is I got a little bit greedy here today. I let a big win turn into a reasonably small win, and that's a little bit unacceptable. Should have at least doubled my P&L there, if not tripled it, if not more. So a little bit disappointing from that context, a bit of a mistake in that situation. And so tomorrow's focus is about really focusing or forcing myself to close as P&L is increasing, to use a little bit more of the market context to create realistic expectations of how large a move can be. But all things considered, good entry here, reasonable thesis, just not very good with my profit taking here today. All right, final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. Love that, Nick. Love to hear that. All right, guys. Same deal like always then, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves a tremendous rest of your day. And I'll catch up with a bunch of you in our one-on-ones later this afternoon. So have yourselves a great one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.